Hello guys, this is 6 Damage Heal here, and today we have a match between me and my friend Lenny over there. We both went to regionals together, so it's a pretty good match. Today it's Raging Form, Revengers, obviously, against Starvader, Link Jokers, obviously the Chaos Breaker build. Two of the most heavily used decks in the current meta right now, so it's always fun when you play against it. From what I've noticed, the matchup actually between these guys is pretty even. So maybe that's why you see a lot of these two clans, these two decks actually make it to top all the time. They don't really have a bad matchup per se. And against each other, it's relatively even, like I said, because it's really comes down to whoever gets their break right off first. If Link Joker triangle locks you first, you Raging Form can't really sacrifice the three units, and if Raging Form sacrifices the 3 units first, Link Joker can really only lock like 2 units and can't really stop it. So that's usually what the matchup comes down to. And of course I heal without healing first damage, but that's fine. But yeah, nice hand. Regardless, it's always a fun matchup between these, so let's see what happens. Yeah, I first go ride into Neobum, which isn't a great ride, but whatever, and I'm lucky to get the draw trigger, which helps out. And yes, I think I think that was a Mordred, not a Raging Form in the graveyard. Or drop zone. Not drop zone, damage zone. He decides to Dark Goat here. I don't know why, because he already has 2 Raging Forms. Maybe you could probably get a Mordred. Yeah, there you go. He gets the Mordred. I was so scared that he would get a Raging Form there, but it turns out he already has 2 in his hand, so that's a fine play by him. Actually do something not a lot of players do in this situation. Because this deck is like such offensively, like firepower, has a lot of firepower, I do not like taking damage easily, so I no pass quickly with the 10k shield. This deck really has a effect of like just hitting you really strong, especially with a break ride. With Raging Form, it's really tough to deal with. So I definitely do not want to take damage early. So that's why no pass there. Here I actually made a mistake. I probably should have attacked with my rear guard first, because at least he'd be able to drop a card. But here I get no triggers, and obviously he gets a trigger. Yeah. So that means there's one attack wasted. So I probably should have attacked my rear guard first, and especially with SP Radon, which everyone's looking for. Definitely have to make good use of the SP one. And like I said before, I don't like taking damage early, so that's why I do 2 pass, and I save myself 2 damage there, so that's relatively fine. I usually tend to do that early because a lot of these decks now really can just deal so much damage out quickly with restanding Vanguards, especially like Tetra and Raging, so I really don't like taking damage. And with Link Joker, what I've noticed is the longer the game goes, the more you're favored to actually win. I want to make the game go as got one in the damage zone. The longer the game goes, the more it actually favors me. So that's why I don't mind not taking damage early, because I really want a long game, because that's this deck's forte. With other decks, maybe not so much. Like if I'm Narukami, maybe I'll take damage early, or especially in Raging, I'll take damage just so I can do my usual restand and everything like that. But definitely in Link Joker, and even in No Velvet, you definitely want to make it a long, drawn-out game. So he finally puts behind a booster, so I can't really guard this, and especially not early, even though I get critted. And he actually does a good play and attacks the rear guard here, because he doesn't want me to get break ride first, so I can then lock the front row and back row, and it'll be very difficult for him to retire his units, and he'll have no intercepts, especially when I attack. So that was a good play by him. And yeah, so very good play by Lenny. Here I'm debating actually putting down Colony Maker to attack. I think I even really, but then I realized I definitely want to save it when I have something that can get locked. So I decided not to, and it was a fine move. I decided to attack him, and he's here. He makes some like a weird play. He already has a raging in his hand, so I have no idea. He just miscalculates the math here. That's no pass. He's just gonna intercept with Tartu eventually. But here, I don't know why he did that. I figured he already has two raging in his hands, so I figured he'd want to take this one, especially. So I mean, I have no idea why he did that, but it was just a weird play. Especially since he has two raging in his hands, I figured he'd want to take me down as get that fourth damage as soon as possible. But alas, he had a different mindset. Oh, the dreaded Doran Blaster Dart combo comes into here. One counter blast to retire something that's really difficult to deal with. Um, Makes it very efficient. And another crit. But here he actually does the right play as well. He puts all effects on the rear guard. So if I do get limit break to break ride, I'll have to be at 5 damage, which I definitely don't want to be at 5 damage against this deck. Dealing with like 4 or 5 attacks, well, 4 attacks that have like that I have to at least guard a 10k for each of them, especially 2 Vanguard attacks of over 21,000. I don't want to be at 5 damage for that. That's just good game when it comes to that point. Um, so regardless, I do decide to put Colliemaker down because I actually have 2 of him in my hand. So I figured if anything, I can just use him later on. Um, but yeah, that's the reason why I would put him down, because usually I'd wait to use his effect, but not this time. Of course, a draw trigger. Alas. Oh, and the reason I decided to rush here was because I wanted to either make him waste hand or make him take damage as soon as possible. Well, not as soon as possible, but like right now, because he's gonna be at limit break. So I wanted him to have to drop a few cards so he doesn't have a huge hand like Revenger's decks can really get to. And so yeah, now he's gonna do now Lenny's gonna actually do the very aggressive break ride strat with Raging Form. It's very difficult to combat from because, especially with the break ride, having the Masquerade gain 5k attack, so that's already a 22k column. It's very difficult to overcome, and it really makes a lot of people cry. Um, most people say these decks are bandwagon decks, which I guess that's fair, but that's part of the meta. I mean, if a deck's doing really good, I mean, no one wants to really lose. Honestly, everyone wants to win. So, really, if they just pick the best, like one of the better decks, I mean, I don't think I can blame them. He Soul Blast here for 32, and I'm not gonna guard that. And right now, that Masquerade's pretty big. I believe that's what 12, 17, 22, 29. That Masquerade's at 29 right now. That's crazy. And if he gets a crit here, that's gonna be really crippling to my hand. I have to perfect guard this one just in case he gets a crit. But if he does get a crit, my hand's gonna be down to nothing because I'm gonna have to guard with 34. But luckily, he doesn't end up getting the crit. Just gets 2 5s, which is perfectly fine. And I am not gonna guard this. Just too much. I just refuse to guard it. So that's why. And now it's my turn. I'm gonna break right here. It sucks that he doesn't have one more unit out so I could lock, because if he just had one more unit out, he wouldn't be able to use Raging Form skill. But that's what I said earlier about the matchup. He got his limit break off first. So, I mean, all I can really do here is just attack him and make him waste hand. He definitely has enough to guard this, but I really want to make him waste hand as quickly as possible. And not only that, but the Lanthams behind the rear guards, they're right now 11k boosters. So even though Colliemaker is only a 20k attack, the Infinite Zero one's actually 22. So that's really big, and I think he takes this. Yes, he heals without healing. Awesome. But yeah, so that's why I try and do with this deck. I try and put Lanthams behind it. I mean, Palladium is definitely good for a few situations, and obviously those are all my 5k cards in my hand. because, God forbid I get a trigger. He Blaster Darks there, killing my intercept, which is a fine play. Here though, I think I'm not sure he should have, did that, because then he could have counter blasted for Raging Form to make it a 20k, 21k attacker, which is really big than 18. It's a magic number. As you can see, I only have 5k cards in my hand, so that's two. But I tend to lose to these situations. But he didn't get it. Thank God. He was very adamant about the trigger. He felt it. I used Chaos Breaker's effect to Soul Blast two, destroy those two, and draw two of them. That's why Chaos Breaker players tend to have big hands as well. Like I said, right now the match is going really long, which I like, because I'll be able to lock and refuel my hand, and especially because I have 5 counter blasts that I can use right now. He's used all his counter blasts, so right now at this stage it's gonna be really difficult for Lenny to beat me. I mean, he'd have to like top deck Raging Form just to even have a chance, because I have all these counter blasts, can lock virtually everything, and really just grind him out to the game. I mean, right now that's a 21k column, a 22k column over there, the Infinite Zero, and I even get the Radon out, which makes that 20. What is that? That's 12. That's 23. And yeah, so I try and go for game here because he's at 5 damage, and that's why I put the heal trigger out. It's going to be very difficult for him to guard all of this, but he's going to try regardless. And yes, I get a draw trigger, which is very helpful. Now that's a 27k column, so... Oh no, I put it on Radon. The math doesn't matter. So that's 28k column, which is fine. But right now I'm going to eat his hand, like make him waste his hand right now. And that's really why Link Joker, you want to really stress making it a long game. Because right now he has 1 card in his hand. Well, now 2. Or I think 3. Yeah, he has 3 cards in his hand and now an intercept. But I think did he draw Raging? I'm not sure. I'm wondering if he drew Raging or if he's going to drive check a Raging. So I definitely want to make this 2 because I don't want to lose. And still 5k, my bad, 5k guards because still no 10k shields in my hand. And yes, he gets the Raging, of course, which is fine. I mean, there's 4 in the deck, and yes, I perfect guard this. I was glad he didn't hit double trigger there, because like I said, I've been going through a slump lately, and that tends to be how I lose. But he gets the good heal, so now he's at 4 damage. So he could actually still do a few things. Unfortunately, though, I think it's a little too late for him, because he really has to just hope I don't hit a trigger here. I mean, he has no field with 3 cards in his hand. So that's going to be fairly, I think 5 cards in his hand. Still not enough, though. But let's see. And I believe I get a crit here. Which is funny, because actually at this time, right here he draws the heal trigger. So I get so mad. And yeah, that's it for the game. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, just comment on the link below. Thank you.